Welcome to New Light Living podcast with Ulrika Sullivan. Have you been feeling exhausted, overthinking your every action, and questioning your next goal? What if there's more to life than that? What if your analytical mind took a back seat and you just knew what was right for you? Ulrika Sullivan's multitasking, up in her head, stressful corporate career left her feeling like she was living on autopilot. She didn't know who she truly was. A complete career shift was carefully orchestrated by the universe to open her up to the deepest level of her soul and purpose. This led to a life-changing point of no return epiphany. There is an undeniable feeling of clarity and way forward available to us when we connect with our inner voice, heart's desire, and body consciousness. You are invited to expand beyond the rerun patterns of your mind and shift into heart-centered living. In Wisdom Beyond What You Know, how to shift from being driven by the mind to living from the heart and intuition. Welcome to today's third episode in the three-part series where I'm being interviewed by the fabulous Patricia Lindner about my new book, Wisdom Beyond What You Know. Today, I answer questions about energy awareness, the big takeaway of the book, and also my biggest wish with this book. Get your copy at wisdombeyondbook.com. Are you ready?
You mentioned that it is so important that people take care of themselves energetically. Why is this? Isn't it just a journey? What do you think about this energetically being really aware and care for yourself?
Yes, and energetic awareness or energy awareness is a part of the book that I introduce as part of the heart-centered fundamentals. Because once we become aware of how we show up in the world, not only towards others, but also within ourselves, that provides a heart opening, if you will, a heart opening, an opening to our own awareness of how we can feel good at all times. And many times when we live in our minds and the stories that the minds make up, we are giving our energy away, whether it's to friends, to work. We exhaust ourselves and we don't know why. And that is because we give our energy away. And once we become aware of our own energy and how that we actually are in power of our own energy, we can decide whether we want to work ourselves to exhaustion or not. For example, and in my case, when I was driven by the mind, I often came home almost every day from work exhausted. And I just thought that was the way it is when you have a young family, you have a high pressure job, you travel a lot, like all of those things, right? I just thought that was how it was supposed to be. But once I started to be aware of my own energy and how I give it away, I could start also keep my own energy and learn how to do that. And it's a fundamental part, in my opinion, about heart-centered living. And I talk about it as one of the components in that part 2 of the book.
That is really multidimensional. Now, you mentioned this energetic part, and you mentioned the heart-centered part, and you mentioned the mind in the beginning of the book, what it feels like and what it turns out to be like if you live from the mind. So this is really a holistic piece that you are going to put out there. And so I think it is all great value. There is no page that has not this big value. But if you had to highlight one takeaway in this book, what would that be? Is there something that you could mention?
Yes, and I really would like people to take away from the book that there is more than just our limited perspective of what we can do and what we cannot do. When we shift into heart-centered living, it actually means to stay connected with not only our true self through the heart and using our intuition, but actually to take advantage of the universe and the massive energy flow that is constantly ongoing in our favor in the universe. And that's the major overarching shift, not only putting ourselves first in our life, but also live with a connection to the universe and align with that. Because when we do, our perspective is opening up what's possible for us. And it's not only what we can see. It's actually also being in communion with or interacting with what we cannot see. And that's why I emphasize energy so much in this book, because it is to become into relationship with energy overall, because in my opinion, everything is energy.
Yeah.
And it's just a larger perspective, a multidimensional perspective of who we are as an individual, but also what our environment is and our interaction and union with our environment as well.
Yeah. And I think this is really, it sounds like an unparalleled approach, because I think that, and I know that you know energy, that you live energy, but I think this book provides the readers with the information that goes in depth of the energetic definition. What is it? And as you said, we are all energy. So it is a very grounded book that talks about the body and about the soul and the heart and about energy. And to me, it feels like bringing everything together and being really an unparalleled way of giving so much value to all of those who are going to read this book. And so with this, I have a very last question. What is your biggest wish that you have with this book?
I wish that everyone ultimately can embody what I share in this book. And in the very last chapter, I share how. And that is really an extension of this book, is my wish for everyone to have some sort of spiritual practice. Because it is a fundamental shift from how we live our lives today. And just as an example, my own transformation from a spiritual practice perspective could be like this. In the past, when I woke up in the morning, I had my phone on the nightstand, I had my to-do list with 20 items, and as soon as the alarm went off, I was ready. And I went up from bed, in the shower, the day was on. The difference here, if I were to describe how a heart-centered morning would look like, it would be not having an alarm go off and lie in bed, put our hands on our heart and our belly, listen to the body before we open our eyes. Lying in bed for even 2-3 minutes without, and just tuning in to ourselves, coming back from a night's sleep.
Mhm.
After that, maybe go up for a couple of stretches or anything that the body wants to do. Connecting with, bringing the curtains apart, looking outside, that whole difference in tuning into our environment, our body, not stressing in the morning is just an example of the shift. And you could feel the difference imagining that first morning with all the stress versus what I described in the second scenario. That's the difference in a very small little container of example, from being driven by the mind to being heart-centered. So I wish that for everyone.
Yeah, and so I wish that for myself. So I can't wait to really read the book. And I need to ask one more question, because you said waking up without an alarm clock. I can't think about this. I would wake up at, honestly, 9, and this is too late. So I don't know if you can just give me your secret to this.
Yeah, I never thought I could wake up in the morning without an alarm clock. But what I did is that I shifted my time when I actually go to bed.
Ooh.
So just by getting to know our true rhythm throughout the day, the body is actually in flow with the day, the cycle of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is about also looking at what time do I go to bed and what do I do before bed? Yeah. Because right now I've been a couple of years without an alarm clock. Yes. So, but that's just a way, that's just a little tip.
Yeah, and you just got me with the time I go to bed, and also with the type of things that I do right before going to bed. And I really think that, yeah, I didn't think about this. So thank you so much for this little tip that is a big one. And I'm going to try that out at times when there is no need to get up. And I think this really shows the practical way of how your books and your amazing tips work. And I'm so grateful for everything that you share with the world, because you are right. You started in the beginning by saying that this is the right time, that a book like this is so needed, and it is exactly the right time for your book. And I can only agree. And I'm so happy that I know you and that I soon will be able to read this book. So thank you so much, Ulrika, for this amazing interview.
Yes, thank you. And actually the book is getting launched today. So I'm going to leave a link below for how you can get it. And also, yeah, I can't wait to hear your comments on the book. I'm going to leave a link below for how you can get it. And also, yeah, I can't wait to hear your comments on the book.